Chapter 3802. After all, they had been husband and wife for many years and knew each other well. Hearing Chinchu's interruption, Huamin stopped talking. Instead, she talked about other things with Chinchu. When they got home that night, they closed the door and lay in bed. With his arms around his wife, Chinchu asked her about what had happened today. Mian, Secretary Zheng wanted to see you about Zheng Ro? Yeah. Huamin nodded. Then why did he ask President Wu to see him? President Wu is semi-retired and hasn't been in charge of the government for a long time. I think he wanted to put pressure on me, Huamin guessed. What did you say? I told him the truth. I really don't know where Zheng Ro is. At this thought, Huamin felt vexed. A living person had disappeared just like that, and there were no witnesses or surveillance videos. It was too miraculous. Scary to think about it. The person who kidnapped Zheng Ro from Southside can definitely kidnap you. Worried, Chinchu tightened his arms around Huamin as if he was afraid of losing her. Everyone is guessing that Yen did it, right? So, I didn't talk to her. I have a feeling something is wrong. I'd better not talk to her lest I bring trouble to Lu Yen. Chinchu was a cautious man. Although he suspected Lu Yen did it, he didn't call her immediately. Honey, you've become very careful. Of course. Since I found Zheng Ro had that advanced device on the cruise ship, I know, it's impossible to guard against it. What should we do now? You don't have to do anything. Just wait and see. Although Secretary Zheng is powerful, he won't dare to do anything to you. Besides, his daughter is still alive. She went missing on her own. It has nothing to do with you. Nestled in Chinchu's arms, Huamin nodded vaguely. This matter was strange to begin with, so it made them even more vigilant. On the other hand, it was already 8 o'clock in the evening when Gao Ran held a high-level meeting. As a bureau chief, working overtime was a common occurrence for him. When he walked out of the office, he heard his colleagues talking among themselves. What are you talking about? Gao Ran asked with a smile. Chief Gao, something happened to Shaochen. Do you know? What happened? Hearing the word accident, Gao Ran was still very nervous. No matter which colleague it was, he naturally didn't want anything to happen to them. I don't know the details. I heard that when she was shopping after work, she bumped into a thief who stole another woman's purse. Then she chased after the thief and got injured. Where is he? Where are they? Gao Ran was anxious when he heard this. We don't know if it's true or not. We only heard about it. It was handled by the Baihe Road branch. We didn't see anyone. Gao Ran immediately called the branch office to confirm the matter. Without further ado, he drove straight to the 6th hospital on Baihe Road. When Gao Ran arrived, Qin Yuning had finished bandaging her wound. Chief Gao. Seeing Gao Ran, she was delighted. What on earth happened? Gao Ran frowned slightly. Before Qin Yuning could speak, a male policeman from the nearby station interjected. Chief Gao, I'm surprised that your female colleagues in the Internal Affairs Department of the HQ are so good. Comrade Little Qin is very brave. She chased after a female colleague whose purse was stolen. The thief even had a knife in his hand, but Little Qin took him down. Wow, even your female colleagues in the Internal Affairs Department are so good. You're a good teacher. Hearing this, Gao Ran got the gist of what had happened. Before Gao Ran could speak, the young policeman continued. Chief Gao, you must give Comrade Shaochen a big reward. She's a role model. I don't want a reward. I just want Chief Gao to treat me to a meal, Qin Yuning said word by word to Gao Ran in front of many policemen, covering the wound on her arm. Chapter 3803. Gao Ran's expression changed slightly. Of course, he knew what Qin Yuning was up to. Before Gao Ran could answer, his colleagues began to jeer. Little Qin, are you stupid? It's such a rare achievement. Why don't you blackmail our Chief Gao? Qin Yuning looked at Gao Ran with a gentle smile. When I was in the police academy, I especially admired our Chief Gao. You're good at solving cases, so I've always wanted to ask for your advice. But our Chief Gao is too busy and doesn't even have time for a meal. So I'm taking this opportunity to be a little thick-skinned and use the excuse of having a meal to ask Chief Gao for advice on solving cases. I wonder if Chief Gao would be willing to give me this opportunity? Then Qin Yuning glanced at Gao Ran's face. He couldn't refuse her in front of so many people. After all, she had just made a contribution and had a hero's halo. But if he agreed, Lingling would be sad if she found out that he and Qin Yuning were having a meal together. After all, Lingling was like a frightened bird. So Gao Ran said with a smile, okay? Not only will I treat you, but I'll also treat everyone in our bureau. I'll spend 3 months of my salary to entertain you greedy cats. Gao Ran had wanted to use a group meal as an excuse. But Qin Yuning wasn't easy to deal with. Chief Gao, I don't want to have a group meal. I want to eat with you alone. Whoa. Chief Gao, just fulfill little Chen's wish. Look at how much the girl admires you. She's going to be your disciple. Hearing Qin Yuning's explicit request and hearing the jeers of her colleagues, Gao Ran put Gao Ran on the spot. He put Gao Ran on the table and couldn't even refuse. He sighed to himself, Hua Mian was right. Although Qin Yuning was young, she was very scheming. Hey. No problem. I'll pick a time to have dinner together. Gao Ran had no choice but to agree to it. Qin Yuning also smiled. When Gao Ran got off work that night, he received a call from Qin Chu. Then they went to the Imperial Hotel, one of GK's 5-star hotels. It was Qin Chu's territory. Royal Hotel top floor private room. When Gao Ran entered, he was stunned for a moment. Zhu Lingling and Buyan were also there. What's going on? You even brought my wife and child here. Chu, are you meeting your in-laws? Gao Ran took off his coat with a smile. Dad, Uncle Qin said he would treat us to a seafood feast today. Buyan interrupted with a smile. Seafood feast? Is this an invitation? He's treating his wife to a meal, right? Gao Ran smiled. He was not interested in seafood. It didn't matter if he ate it or not. She wasn't particularly fond of it, but Hua Min loved it. Hua Min loved seafood. Everyone around him knew that. Therefore Qin Chu was using them as foils. Are you going to eat or not? Why are you talking so much nonsense? When Qin Chu was with Gao Ran, he was quite relaxed. Just like when they were students, they would argue, criticize, and bicker with each other. Of course. Why don't we eat? Gao Ran tilted his head and answered. Little Bean and Buyan had a lot of fun. They both held their phones and played the same game. Pudding, on the other hand, was quietly browsing the news on her cell phone. Hey little rich Pudding, how are you doing in the stock market? Gao Ran looked at little Pudding in amusement. She was wearing a white sweater, a red skirt, and black boots. Her hair had grown a lot, making her look like a little princess. Chapter 3804. Not bad, Pudding replied with a smile. You've inherited your dad's genes. I'm not interested in doing business. My head almost explodes when I see those quarterly reports. Look at you. Do you want your son to be a police officer like you? Zhu Lingling rolled her eyes at her husband, who says police officers are useless. Without us protecting you, how can society be so harmonious? Dad, I still don't want to be a police officer, Buyan interrupted. Your son doesn't want to be a police officer. Our Buyan is an ambitious man. Zhu Lingling rubbed her son's head lovingly. Then what do you want to do? I want to be the owner of a cake shop and run it with Little Bean, Buyan said cheerfully. Zhu Lingling, Gao Ran, honey, this is what you call an ambitious man. Then, the cake shop will be a chain. If you can make it into a Michelin restaurant, you'll be rich? Zhu Lingling argued. At this moment the door opened and Hua Min walked in. He was only wearing a simple black windbreaker. His entire body except for his abdomen. Hua Mian, on the other hand, was the same as before. Vice Director Hua, did you just get off work? Gao Ran asked. Yeah. There was an emergency surgery at the hospital, so I went to check it out. It's okay. Let's eat. Then the waiters brought the dishes one after another. The kids didn't eat properly. After a few bites they went down to play. The 4 adults sat there and chatted. Qin Chu patiently peeled the shrimp for Hua Min and put it on her plate carefully. Honey, I want to eat crabs. No? It's too cold. Just one, okay? Just one. Hua Min begged pitifully. Oh. Last time, you only ate 2 legs and your stomach felt uncomfortable for a long time. Qin Chu was serious and anxious. Are you two here to let us watch you show off your love? That's right. Over the years we've been eating 2 sacks of dog food. Zhu Lingling agreed with her husband. It's your honor to be able to eat all these years. Hua Min smiled. To be honest, I'm tired of your beauty now. Gao Ran drank his beer. If you're sick of it, you can close your eyes, Mr. Qin said. What the fuck? How is this even possible? Okay, honey, let's eat. Don't look at them, they're too. Zhu Lingling picked up some vegetables and ate. Gao Ran suddenly remembered Qin Yuning. Hence he coughed lightly and said, Wife, I have something to report. Speak. It's like this. I just finished a meeting today. Get to the point. Zhu Lingling picked up a crab and ate it while listening to him. The point is, I promised Little Chin that I'd treat her to dinner. Sure. No problem. Honey, aren't you angry? No. Ha, I knew that our Lingling is the most generous and understanding person. Gao Ran's laughter didn't stop. Zhu Lingling continued, after dinner, which do you think is better, kneeling on a durian or a cactus? Gao Ran, huh. Huamin laughed out loud. I think it's better to kneel on a nail board, Mr. Qin said. Qin Chu, you're crazy. Gao Ran wanted to cry, knowing his wife wasn't easy to talk to. Chief Gao, what trick did Little Chin use on you to force you to treat her to dinner at the risk of your life? Huamin was smart and guessed the key point. Huamian purposely emphasized the words life-threatening, which was perfectly in line with their family's situation. Chapter 3805. As expected, our Dr. Hua is smart. Seeing that Huamin had hit the nail on the head, Gao Ran pulled his chair closer to Huamin. Stay away from my wife. Damn it. Why are you jealous? Seeing Qin Chu's stern warning, Gao Ran was speechless. Hurry up and come up with an idea. I really don't want Lingling to misunderstand. She was so scary when she was angry. Gao Ran really didn't want to experience the days of his car being replaced, his clothes being changed, and his credit card being charged. Tell me what happened? Huamin asked Gao Ran with a smile, completely forgetting about crabs. Zhu Lingling pretended not to care. She ate the crabs, but her ears perked up to listen to every word Gao Ran said. Gao Ran didn't hide anything and told him everything that happened. I told you this woman is not ordinary. She's a high-level scheming bitch, Huamin commented. Mian, I think we were too gentle last time, so I rushed into the Qin family's house and told her parents what kind of person their daughter is. Zhu Lingling scolded. Why are you in such a hurry? She didn't do anything to your husband yet. You don't have any evidence to scold her. That's why I said she's smart, a shameless little vixen. Zhu Lingling was more direct when it came to scolding people, and she scolded them for being vulgar. She just couldn't stand those who deliberately seduced people when they knew they had families. Even if she watched TV shows, she would be furious when she saw this scene. It wasn't because she had high moral values, but because these women brought immeasurable tragedy to many happy families. Didn't you promise to treat her to dinner? I agree. Treat her, Huamin said calmly. Damn it, Mian, are you dumb? Why did you treat her to dinner? You know that little vixen is full of tricks. Zhu Lingling was obviously not convinced. Alright, calm down. Listen to me. I'm not done yet. Huamin shook his head helplessly. Lingling's temper hadn't changed after all these years. Alright, continue. Mr. Qin had always refused to get involved in family disputes, nor was he interested in getting involved. However, he was very attentive. After Huamin ate a few mouthfuls of prawns, he poured some ginger tea to warm his stomach. Gao Ran promised to have dinner with her, but he didn't say where. Lingling, I think you should prepare a table full of food and invite her to dinner at home. What? She's so beautiful. Why should I cook for her? Zhu Lingling exploded. If you don't cook, you can order takeout. Anyway, I'll treat you to dinner at home. No. I feel disgusted when I see her. How can I let her come to my house? I asked her to come to your house because I wanted her to back off. On the day of the meal, you two just have to show off your love. Then you can poke at her from time to time to give her some warnings and embarrass her a little. Huamin thought Lingling really didn't need to be polite this time. This is a good idea. The most important thing is that Lingling won't think too much and suspect me. Gao Ran agreed with this idea. Zhu Lingling was reluctant, but compared to Gao Ran taking that woman out to dinner, she felt safer at home. On the side, Little Bean and Buin seemed to be playing the game, but they got the gist of the conversation. Buin, so your dad really has something going on outside. I heard it. That woman wants to come to your house for dinner. Little Bean, will you dislike me? Dislike you for what? Little Bean looked at Gao Buin innocently. Dislike my dad for being a director with a scandal. Buin lowered his head, obviously feeling guilty. That's your dad's business, not yours. Don't worry. Be strong. Little Bean patted Buin on the shoulder like an adult and comforted him. What are you two doing? Pudding couldn't stand it anymore and almost burst out laughing. The four of them enjoyed the party. When it was about to end, Qin Chu asked Gao Ran, Secretary Zeng came to our city. Did he look for you? Chapter 3806. Oh, I heard about it, but he hasn't come to me yet. Maybe I'm not at his level. My dad is at the same level, but I've been busy recently, so I didn't ask my dad. Gao Ran was very calm about Secretary Zheng's visit because he didn't seem to realize the seriousness of the matter. Zheng Rou's disappearance seems very serious. Otherwise, her father wouldn't have been alerted. She's just a scheming bitch. So what if she's lost? He's good. Gao Ran didn't like Zheng Rou. Even so, don't forget her identity. Huamin reminded him. So what? He can make things difficult for us just because he's the secretary. We didn't lose his daughter. Gao Ran didn't think much of it. Qin Chu reminded him, when you're out, ask your subordinates to keep an eye on Zheng Rou. If she's really been kidnapped, she might not be too far away from the city. I have news for you. The family dinner was quite enjoyable. After dinner, the two families went home. When they got into the car, Huamin remembered the crab. Annoyed, he threw a tantrum. Honey, I haven't eaten the crab yet. I forgot. I was talking to Gao Ran. Qin Chu didn't say a word, and a delicate bag appeared out of nowhere as if by magic. Without saying anything, he handed it to Huamin. Huamin opened it and was overjoyed. It was a hot crab. It looked very appetizing. Huamin knew that Qin Chu must have ordered the hotel to make it. Beside the box containing the crab was a glass bottle. There seemed to be a black drink in it. It was also hot. Huamin thought it was hot coffee. Later he heard Qin Chu's words. Qin Chu said, "You little greedy cat. You almost lose your mind when you see seafood. Let me tell you, you can only eat one crab and drink ginger tea after eating." Thank you, hubby. With Mr. Qin's approval, Huamin was as happy as a child. She quickly planted a kiss on Qin Chu's face. The twins behind her were speechless. Those two seem to be treating us as if we don't exist. Little Bean sighed. Ever since we were kids, we've been fed more dog food than Boyne, and the others have eaten rice. Pudding also felt wronged. What can we do about it? They're so in love with each other. Otherwise, why would they have a younger brother? That's why the fruit of love has to come at the right time. Mommy, after you give birth to little brother, will you be the last one? We won't have a fourth child in our family, right? Pudding asked Huamin seriously. Yes, there's also little 5, little 6, and little 7. You two will be big sisters in the future, so you have to take care of your younger siblings, Huamin said deliberately. Little Bean, Pudding, Qin Chu drove the car with a smile on his face. Hearing the laughter of his wife and children was the happiest moment in his life. On the other side, ever since she took part in the reality show Dancing Allure, Han Yueyao had become more diligent. Chapter 3807. Boss, don't talk nonsense with me. I really can't stop Miss Han. Funny. You speak as if you can stop someone like Lu Yan. Ziyu was just saying it casually. However, complicated emotions flashed across Anne's eyes. He liked Lu Yan really, and he liked her more and more. Especially after knowing Lu Yan's true identity, she was like a god in his heart. He worshipped and respected her. He no longer dared to hope that he could confess to Lu Yan or have anything to do with her. He just wanted to see Lu Yan a few more times. At Huamin's birthday party on the cruise ship, the three of them were beaten up by the mutated Huasiqian. Lu Yan descended like a god and performed a wonderful close-range combat in front of him. That kind of strength and aura were heights that An could never reach in his life. He thought that since Lu Yan was so powerful at such a young age, she must have started fighting when she was very, very young. So every time he thought of that, his heart ached. But who was he? Why should he feel sorry for Lu Yan? Lu Yan's world was something he couldn't reach. Even Suyu couldn't reach it. It was a world-class battle. Terrorists, South African drug lords, Golden Triangle riots, Syrian reactionaries, Japan's Senku Group, Taiwan's United Bamboo Gang, Malaysia's Datuk Civil War. He could only watch everything like a movie. Ahem. I didn't mean to bring up your sad past. Suyu also felt that he had gone too far by joking about Lu Yan's story, so he regretted it. Don't worry, boss. I won't be so petty. The image of Lu Yan's stunning face flashed across Anne's mind. He missed her dearly. Han Yueyao is a hard-working girl. Mian didn't misjudge her. Suyu knew that although Huamin didn't say it, he liked Han Yueyao. He would give this girl face no matter the occasion. Dr. Hua isn't the only one who thinks so. I also think Miss Han is a good person. She has a backbone. She could have made a living with her looks, but she chose to rely on her talent. That's a good way to put it, Suyu agreed. With Han Yueyao's looks, she was popular even in the capital city, not to mention here. She could casually hook up with a rich man and she would have endless luxury goods and money. When Suyu had investigated her, he had also discovered something interesting. When she was in her second year of university, there was a Hong Kong businessman who was only in his 40s. He was very young and very rich. It was said that he had shares in Macau's casinos. That rich man had always liked female celebrities and had no less than 9 of them as his mistresses. Then by chance he saw Han Yueyao and started to chase after her. However, he didn't succeed in the end. It was said that one day after school, the rich man blocked the entrance of Han Yueyao's school with his $10 million sports car. He stopped her and asked with a sense of superiority, "Yao, shall I take you to buy a watch?" At that time Han Yueyao stared at him for 3 seconds and asked, "Brother, are you that good to your mother?" This sentence embarrassed the rich man to the extreme. Later the man got angry and stopped pursuing her. Many classmates called her stupid. She could have had a meteoric rise in her career, but she didn't know what was good for her and relied on herself step by step. "President Su, since you know that Miss Han isn't Dr. Hu's cousin and that it's Madam's arrangement, why don't you explain it to her?" Suyu had known about this for a long time, but he never exposed it, nor did he show any signs of anger. And felt that this wasn't his boss's style. In the past, with Suyu's bad temper, he would definitely expose this matter and scold Han Yueyao. Chapter 3808. After a long silence, Suyu slowly looked at the figure dancing in the glass room. "Actually, I think it's not easy for her." This was Suyu's comment. In fact, Han Yueyao's family was not bad. Although they weren't rich, they weren't poor either. They could only be said to be from an ordinary middle-class family. However, she might be too sensible. Therefore, after experiencing the hardships of her parents, she had a great desire to earn money. However, she knew what to do and what not to do, so she had to work hard to earn money. This kind of person was actually rare in society. To put it nicely, they were called righteous people. To put it bluntly, they were called fixed people or tigers. However, even if they were tigers, Suyu still respected Han Yueyao from the bottom of his heart because she knew how to be grateful and understand the hardships of her parents. After the car accident, Suyu felt even more guilty. Therefore, this time, regardless of whether it was suitable or not, he had to watch it. He had to give her the chance to perform in dancing allure. Suyu and stood outside for a while. In the end, Suyu didn't disturb her. When Han Yueyao finished practicing, it was already 7:30 p.m. She walked out of the company and returned to the dorm. Xiaoxiao was still not home. She took off her shoes and socks tiredly and was about to go to bed. Just then she heard someone knocking on the door. She opened the door curiously and was surprised to see Gao Yero. "What's the matter?" Han Yueyao asked with disdain. "Let's talk." "I don't think we have anything to talk about." Han Yueyao refused directly. "No matter what, let's talk. What if it's what you need?" Then without waiting for Han Yueyao to speak, Gao Yero pushed the door open and walked in. Han Yueyao had no choice but to close the door. "What do you want to talk about?" "It's my first time in your dorm. Aren't you going to get me something to drink?" Gao Yero sat on Han Yueyao's bed with her legs crossed. She looked so arrogant, as if she was the most beautiful person in the world. "There's water. You can pour it yourself. There's also Coke in the fridge, but it's 3 yuan per can. After all, you're not my friend, so I don't have to treat you to a drink." Han Yueyao didn't hold back. "Ah, she's from a poor family after all. She's so petty." Gao Yero sneered. "I'll treat you accordingly. If it were someone else, I'd be willing to drink a box of it, but not you." "I don't like you," Han Yueyao said bluntly. "Alright, I don't like you either. Let's stop pretending. I'll get straight to the point. I want you to quit dance allure." "Quit? Why?" Han Yueyao thought she was dreaming. Gao Yero didn't say anything. She just took out a few bundles of cash from her Chanel bag and put them on the bed. "What do you mean?" Han Yueyao frowned. "Here's 80,000 yuan. Take it. After you quit, I'll transfer 220,000 yuan to your account. I'm a woman of my word. If you're afraid that I won't keep my word, you can write an IOU to me right now. What do you think, Han Yueyao? Aren't you poor? 300,000 yuan is a lot for you. If you quit dancing allure, you can tell President Su that your leg injury is acting up again and the money is yours. What do you think? 300,000 yuan? You're so generous." Han Yueyao knew that the Gao family was rich. That was why Gao Yarou could do whatever she wanted in Imperial Star despite being a newcomer. She also knew that Nielingxuan's agent was her backer. She also had a say in the higher-ups. She didn't feel good about not being chosen this time. It doesn't matter if I'm generous or not. Just tell me if you agree or not. You want to buy me off with this little money? Do you think I'm a beggar? How much do you want? Name your price and I'll listen. Gao Yarou was happy to hear that Han Yueyao wanted to raise the price. She just wanted to be famous and didn't mind spending more money. Chapter 3809. 100 million. What do you think? Han Yueyao looked at Gao Yarou with a smile as if she was joking with her best friend. Han Yueyao, are you crazy? Go rob a bank. Do you know what you're talking about? Are you crazy? Gao Yarou was extremely excited. This woman was asking for too much. 100 million? Was she kidding? If she really had 100 million, she would eat, drink, and have fun every day. Why would she be a trainee or a star? You can't afford it, right? Then please leave. Han Yueyao chuckled and asked her to leave. Han Yueyao, don't think you can forget who you are just because you climbed into President Su's bed. President Su has a lot of women. Sleeping with you is just a temporary novelty. Do you think you'll have another chance after he dotes on you? Besides, with your strength you don't even have that many fans. Even if you enter Dancing Allure, you'll be eliminated in the first round. Do you know that the people who came to Dancing Allure this time are all young actresses and male celebrities? Are you looking for death? Yeah, I want to die. So what? You're so selfish. You can't take the opportunity and you won't give it to others. I really don't know why President Su likes you. Gao Yarou was furious. If her cousin didn't tell her not to offend Han Yueyao, she would have lost her temper. Yeah, I can't do it and I won't let you go. President Su chose me. What can you do about it? Han Yueyao crossed her arms in front of her chest. She was wearing a loose sweater. Gao Yarou was really pissed off by her mother's attitude. Looking at her up close, her lips were trembling. If you don't take the money, you'll definitely regret it. If you get eliminated in the first round of the reality show, the company won't promote you. By then you'll fall out of favor with President Su. You won't be able to return to your old self and return to our company to do odd jobs. You might as well take the money now and find an excuse to save your face. Gao Yarou remembered what her cousin told her. She hoped she could use these words to move Han Yueyao. Unfortunately, Han Yueyao wasn't someone who could be easily moved. Hurry up and go back. I really can't be bothered to say another word to you. You're not a dancer. Do you think you can just show your face? When the time comes, everyone will dance. If you lose, you'll have face. And I'm not as famous as you in the first place. You're right, I don't have many fans, so I'm not afraid of losing. Then she opened the door without further ado. Gao Yarou saw how stubborn she was, so she flung her sleeves and left, slamming the door behind her. The princess syndrome of a rich girl is so fucking scary. What a waste of time. Han Yueyao didn't hate Gao Yarou. After all, she had no feelings for her. It was just that Gao Yarou liked to make her presence known, so she always made things difficult for her. This reality show was as if they were going to go crazy if they couldn't get married. He had even bribed her with a huge sum of money. In all fairness, she wouldn't give up this opportunity even if it was a few million, let alone a few 100,000. If it was tens of millions, then they could discuss it again. At this thought, she smiled and went to cook a bowl of instant noodles for herself. Xiao Xiao wasn't in the dormitory, so she really didn't know what to eat. In a dark bar in Sea City, if you have something to say it. I'm busy. Yi Xiaoyang was obviously impatient and didn't want to deal with the woman in front of him. Young Master Yi, I didn't expect you to be so infatuated with Wei Ying. Is it worth it? She's a second-hand divorcee who can't bear a child after sleeping with Shen Mingxi. Don't you mind? Hui Yanyan's words were always so vicious, which matched her current face. Chapter 38:10. Hearing this, Yi Xiaoyang was furious and smashed a wine glass on the floor. Bitch, what are you talking about? I won't allow you to talk about Ying like that. Maybe he had pursued Wei Ying because he wanted the Wei family's business support. But as they got to know each other, he found that Wei Ying was actually very gentle, simple, and sensitive. She was a woman who lacked a sense of security. After leaving Shen Mingxi, she lived a better and more exciting life. Now her reputation in the upper-class circle was increasing day by day. Even some of his relatives, such as his aunts and uncles, would occasionally praise Miss Wei for being sensible, intelligent, and beautiful. People had feelings. When Yi Xiaoyang pursued Wei Ying like crazy, he gradually fell in love with her. But Wei Ying didn't seem to feel anything for him. He blamed everything on Shen Mingxi. But in fact, Shen Mingxi didn't do anything. How could he ruin it? Hey. If you're unhappy, I won't talk about it. Don't get agitated. Hui Yanyan grabbed Yi Xiaoyang's hand that was grabbing her collar. Yi Xiaoyang seemed to despise her. Just as her hand touched his. When she touched his hand, he immediately let go, and his eyes were filled with anger. Young master, I need some money. I want to play the stock market. I found that, after Hua Xiqian emptied the Hua family's money, the empty shell was taken by Hua Min's bastard child. He used the name of Hua Min's mother and played the game of capitalization. I'm not satisfied. After all, it's my father's property. I want to take it back. It's your business to play the stock market. Why should I help you? I found a few investors, but they're not as rich as you, so I need you to give me 10 million yuan. 10 million? Are you crazy? Are you worth it? Yi Xiaoyang looked at Hui Yanyan in disdain. Now that she had undergone many microplastic surgeries, her face was full of hyaluronic acid. Her nose was crooked and her lips were flaming red. Her breasts, on the other hand, had swelled up and could be described as a super D cup. Most of those old farts wanted something new, so they slept with her and played with her. Just like that, Hui Yanyan mingled with a few old men to earn some money. Actually, it wasn't a small amount. She was still occupying the house that Shen Mingxi had bought for her. Then she didn't know which idiot was fooled by her and bought her a white Maserati. The branded clothes she was wearing were all made by those rich people. Even so, he was still not satisfied and wanted to extort 10 million from Yi Xiaoyang. What if I can make you sleep with Wei Ying? Hearing Hui Yanyan's words, Yi Xiaoyang swallowed the rest of his words. He had intended to give this woman a good scolding. But now, after hearing what she said, he seemed to be hesitating. Don't worry, you don't have to give me the money first. You can give me the money after you sleep with Wei Ying and get engaged. Hui Yanyan seemed to be full of confidence. Are you really confident? Yi Xiaoyang was also skeptical. Young master, you don't worry. If it doesn't work out, you don't have to give me a dime. What do you think? Tell me what you're going to do. Yi Xiaoyang didn't trust Hui Yanyan, but at the thought of sleeping with Wei Ying, he couldn't resist the temptation. Not only can I let you sleep with her, but I can also make the Wei family acknowledge you and let her get engaged to you as long as you cooperate with me. Bitch, if you dare to lie to me, I'll skin you alive. Yi Xiaoyang didn't forget to threaten Hui Yanyan. Chapter 38:11. Heh. How would I dare to lie to you, young master Yi? I know how powerful you are in our city. When Hui Yanyan laughed, the hyaluronic acid on her face made her look even more terrifying. Then, what do you think we should do? In the end, Hui Yanyan's sweet talk convinced Yi Xiaoyang. At the Shen Corporation with Su Yu's money, Shen Mingxi's life quickly changed. He had been busy with his family business and often worked late into the night. The last time he saw Wei Ying was at his birthday party. A long time passed in the blink of an eye. 8 p.m. After finishing his work, Shen Mingxi glanced at his watch and found it was still early. He wanted to have a drink with Su Yu, but when he picked up his cell phone, he sent a WeChat message to Wei Ying. Ying. Yeah, Wei Ying replied instantly. Are you asleep? It's still early. Who sleeps so early? Then, do you want to come out for supper? I recently discovered a new Guangxi snail noodle shop on Tongda Street. It's very popular. I heard the owner is from Liuzhou and the taste is very authentic. I remember when you came back from Guilin, you kept talking about it. Once people cared about someone, every word they said would become important. Now that he thought about it, when they first got married, Wei Ying had always wanted to go out, but Shen Mingxi said he didn't have time. Later, Wei Ying and her friends went to Guilin and Guangxi for more than 10 days. When she came back, she couldn't forget the snail rice noodles from Guangxi. She said that although it smelled bad, it tasted very good, spicy and satisfying. At the time, Shen Mingxi didn't think much of it. But this afternoon, when his assistants talked about it, he remembered that Wei Ying loved it. I love snail rice noodles. I've been buying them online. But the taste is not as good as the ones in Liuzhou. I'll try it this time. Wei Ying didn't embarrass him and agreed without hesitation. Then I'll have the driver pick you up. Shen Mingxi wanted to pick her up himself, But if his car appeared near Wei Ying's apartment, people would make a big deal out of it. Even if the paparazzi took pictures of her, Wei Liao would scold her. That was why he wanted the driver to pick him up. It's okay, I'll drive there myself. My dad overheard me talking about getting a new car, so he immediately got someone to bring me one. Uncle Wei has always doted on you. There's nothing wrong with that. Then give me the address. I'll drive there in a bit. Okay, see you later. Wei Ying was very independent now. After texting Shin Mingxi, she immediately got up and put on makeup. Other than living in Minjiangshan Villa with her parents, she also had a 160 square meter house in the city. It was one of the properties owned by the Wei family. It was decorated in an artistic style and Wei Ying often stayed there. After dressing up, Wei Ying went downstairs and drove the brand new orange Lamborghini in a good mood. She could eat snail rice noodles and see Shin Mingxi. Only she knew how she felt. For Wei Ying it was an indescribable happiness. President Shin, why are you so happy? Shin Mingxi's assistant was very curious when he saw the president giggling on his cell phone. You said, once you care about someone you'll care about everything related to her, right? Shin Mingxi asked his assistant. The assistant was dumbfounded. I guess so. Maybe. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. You've worked overtime with me until now. This month's bonus will be doubled. Wow, thank you, boss. Hearing their boss's words, everyone was very excited. Shin Mingxi drove to Tongda Road, intending to meet up with Wei Ying. Suddenly he received a call from an overseas number. After he heard this, his entire face changed. Wei Ying immediately thought of Hu Yanyan's daughter. Today at school she used the tip of a pencil to scratch a female classmate's face. What? Wei Ying was shocked. Singapore's laws were notoriously strict. In that country this kind of thing was considered very serious even if she was a minor. How could this happen? What happened? Wei Ying was alarmed. I don't know the details. They said that she hurt someone at school and was sent to the police station by the school. She was detained. The police station and the school should have contacted her guardian by now. And if I remember correctly, her guardian is Shin Mingxi, right? Hearing her bestie's words, Wei Ying immediately understood why Shin Mingxi stood her up tonight. Chapter 38:13. Yes. Gritting her teeth, Wei Ying said yes into her phone. Then he should be coming to Singapore soon to deal with this. I heard that the injured child's family is very rich and she's also Chinese. A magnate from the mainland immigrated here, so this matter might not be easy to deal with. Wei Ying was silent. Ying, will you come with him? No. That's his business, it has nothing to do with me. Wei Ying replied with a cold face and didn't say anything else. At this moment the steaming bowl of snail noodles was served. Numbly she picked up her chopsticks and ate it in small bites. Even now Shin Mingxi still cared about that child. Was it because he still had feelings for Hu Yanyan? Maybe it was because she wasn't kind enough, but Wei Ying didn't sympathize with Tian Tian. Instead she felt that she wasn't important enough in Shin Mingxi's heart. Even if he was busy, couldn't he have called her and told her? She wouldn't have waited here for so long. After a few years I still seem to have lost to Hu Yanyan and her daughter. Hu Yanyan laughed at herself in a low voice, and then tears streamed down her face. She quickly picked up a tissue and wiped her face. Miss, are you okay? Seeing the guest cry while eating, the waiter felt pity for her. I'm fine, it's just too spicy. Yes, your chili is super spicy. Wei Ying forced a smile and finished the bowl of snail noodles with tears in her eyes. Shin Mingxi pulled some strings and got an emergency visa. He booked a flight overnight to go to Jing City first and then transfer to Singapore. Because he was in a hurry, he didn't have time to say anything. He only called his family and told his father about the company. After he passed the security check and was about to board the plane, his stomach growled and he remembered that he hadn't eaten. Then he remembered that he was on a date with Wei Ying. In a panic he called Wei Ying, but her phone was turned off. He knew that she was angry. So he composed a message and sent it over. Xiaoying, I'm sorry. It's an emergency. Tian Tian got into trouble overseas and hurt a child. She's temporarily detained by the police. I'm her only guardian. I can't just sit by and do nothing. She's still young, still a child, so I spent the night looking for someone to get a visa and book a plane ticket. I didn't have time to tell you. I'm sincerely sorry. Shin Mingxi turned off his phone and boarded the plane. When Wei Ying saw the message, it was already the next morning. She did turn off her phone because she was angry. However, no matter how angry he was when he saw this WeChat message, he calmed down a lot. Wei Ying's heart softened when she saw Qin Chu ask for forgiveness. With love in her heart, she was always the one who surrendered. At noon, in a hot pot restaurant, Su Xiaoxiao was very happy when she went to the appointment. It was rare for Lin Heng to take the initiative to invite her to dinner. Hello, I'm here. Su Xiaoxiao was wearing a loose sweater and a dark yellow hoodie. It looked a little old, but it was very stylish. Her lower body was more ridiculous. Her thighs were bare and she was wearing shorts. Madam, it's been a few months. It's almost winter and you're still barefooted? Are you okay? Lin Heng's friends teased. I'm Superman. I'm not afraid of the cold. Su Xiaoxiao sat beside Lin Heng with a smile. He looked at her and wanted to say something, but he couldn't. Perhaps his friends understood Lin Heng's meaning and hurriedly asked her, Xiaoxiao, where's Han Yueyao? Chapter 38:14. Where's the company? Didn't I tell you to ask her to come with you? She's busy. Other than sleeping and eating, she's practicing her dance. Didn't I tell you that she's participating in a reality show? The live broadcast is about to start. Time is of the essence. No matter how anxious she is, she can't be delayed by a meal, right? What do you know? Yao Yao is very serious. This time I really saw her go crazy. She danced crazily, you know? President Su is willing to give her a chance this time. She naturally wants to win glory and doesn't want to be eliminated in the first round. Forget it. You won't understand even if I tell you about our company. Come on, let's eat. I'm starving. Lin Heng actually wanted to see Han Yueyao, but he couldn't ask her out alone. So he wanted to ask Su Xiaoxiao to invite her, but to his surprise, Su Xiaoxiao didn't invite her out this time. Han Yueyao was very serious about this show. Whether she could become famous or not, she had to do her best. Wow, that's enough. You should go to the cafeteria to eat. No, there are too many people. It's a waste of time to line up for food. Teachers, you can go. I can eat by myself. Han Yueyao refused to go downstairs to eat with the teachers. After the teachers left, she danced for another 20 minutes. Then she leaned against the wall and sat down with sweat all over her forehead. She held a sweat-soaked towel and casually draped it over her shoulder. She opened the thermos lunchbox she had bought this morning. It was 2 extra rolls she had made for breakfast, some pickled vegetables, a piece of corn and a piece of purple potato. Then she ate with a bottle of mineral water. Su Yu and An were also going to eat, but not in the cafeteria. They were going out to eat. When they were in the elevator, they overheard someone talking about Han Yueyao's recent condition and food. Su Yu frowned slightly. Go to the cafeteria to pack some lunches and bring them to the dance classroom. Su Yu ordered an, what kind of food do you want, President Su? It's up to you. Whatever. Then we're not going out to eat barbecue? And was confused. Yeah, no. I want to eat lunch boxes. And, why aren't you going? All right. Shaoan knew that Su Yu might be a little uncomfortable with what everyone had said just now. Han Yueyao tried her best this time. She even saved time to practice dancing. This was the scene that Su Yu saw when he entered the dance classroom. Leaning against the wall tiredly, she sipped mineral water and ate the small steamed rolls. There were only salted vegetables, corn and purple potatoes in the insulated lunchbox. I say, Imperial Star is a shelter. You're eating worse than pigs. Are you trying to slap me in the face? Su Yu looked at her with one hand in his pocket. President Su. Han Yueyao was polite to Su Yu and didn't dare to bicker with him like before. After the car accident, the relationship between the two became very delicate. A few days ago, Su Yu had stood his ground and asked Han Yueyao to appear on the reality show. Now the rumors in the company were that she was Su Yu's new favorite. But in fact, after she was discharged from the hospital, she had no contact with Su Yu except for that night when they had dinner at the Su family's house. Don't be so formal. Sit down. Su Yu waved his hand naturally and gestured for Han Yueyao to sit down. Look at you. Are you so tired that your brain can't keep up? With so much activity every day, you need nutrition and energy. Can you eat these damn things? Su Yu pointed at Han Yueyao's insulated lunchbox and criticized her seriously. Chapter 38:15. What the hell is that? Corn and purple potatoes are delicious. Han Yueyao didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Forget about breakfast. You eat this for lunch. Look outside. Even the beggars on the street have a KFC drumstick for lunch. You eat this? Don't you feel ashamed? Su Yu's words made Han Yueyao laugh. How dare you laugh? I'm lazy and don't like to move. The company doesn't pay for the food. It's a benefit for us. I just think that after everyone leaves I'll feel better if I dance a few dances alone. If you don't like to move, you can ask the cafeteria to deliver food. Han Yueyao, President Su, that's you, right? I'm just a little trainee. I'm not qualified to ask the cafeteria to deliver food. You're crazy. It's okay. I'll give you special privileges. You're in a special period and can enjoy special treatment. Really? Han Yueyao was delighted. Yeah. I'll ask him to tell the cafeteria. President Su, you're so good to me. Is it because... Han Yueyao lowered her head and hesitated to finish her sentence. Don't misunderstand. I'm not in love with you and have no feelings for you. Su Yu immediately explained. I know. What I mean is you're so nice to me. Is it because you've implicated me in the car accident? The car accident is in the past. Forget it. You're not disabled or disfigured, right? Su Yu chuckled. Then, before Han Yueyao could finish and came in with a big bag. How many people do you want to eat? Su Yu looked at the food box in Anne's hand, dumbfounded. I told the cafeteria that President Su wanted to eat lunch and was so tired that he was sweating profusely. He was carrying a big bag with both hands. Let's eat. I'm hungry too. Su Yu took the food and spread it on the floor. Then the three of them sat cross-legged on the floor and ate around the many food boxes. Without the burden of being an idol, Han Yueyao wolfed down the delicious food without any gentleness. As for the big piece of marinated bone, she directly grabbed it and chewed on it. Can you wear gloves? Su Yu looked at her silently and reminded her. It's too troublesome. Just eat. Everyone is eating their own food. No one is looking at each other and no one is disturbing each other. And was speechless. Su Yu, you're really fierce when you eat. Su Yu saw that a certain someone had been saying that it was fine and that they could make do with whatever they wanted. Now that she saw delicious food, her moral integrity fell to the ground. She was drunk. The cafeteria was also very practical. As soon as they heard President Su's order, they almost prepared a Manchu Han imperial feast. There were a total of 12 dishes, a combination of meat and vegetables as well as soup. It was perfect. Shaoan, go to the cafeteria again later. Do you want more dishes? President Su. Su Yu was speechless. No. Tell the cafeteria to send Han Yueyao's food here. Chapter 38:17. Both of them walked away in front of their colleagues in the Municipal Public Security Bureau, so they didn't think much of it. They thought the director was rewarding this young comrade who had done a good deed. Qin Yuning got into Gao Ran's car cheerfully. It was her first time sitting in Gao Ran's Land Rover, which was confiscated by his wife a while ago. The black Land Rover Range Rover looked majestic when driven by a man. Sitting in the passenger seat, she thought happily that if she could be with Gao Ran in the future, she might be able to sit here every day. Little Qin, sit in the back. I like to sit in the front and chat with you. Qin Yuning was obviously not willing to sit in the back. Who didn't want to sit in the front passenger seat? I'm going to pick up my son from kindergarten. That's his seat. Pick up your son. Qin Yuning was displeased. She thought it was just the two of them having dinner together. But she didn't ask, thinking maybe Zhu Lingling was working overtime and didn't have time to pick up the kid and asked him to pick up the kid. Although he was reluctant, he still sat at the back. Director Gao, kids aren't allowed to sit in the front, right? Won't the traffic police do something about it? Qin Yuning was displeased. He thought to himself, what you're doing is against the traffic rules. All the traffic police in the city know my car. I don't run red lights or park illegally. With a smile, Gao Ran started the car. Qin Yuning fell silent. In fact, Gao Buyun never sat in the front. The truth was, there was a dashcam in the car. If Lingling saw Qin Yuning sitting in the front passenger seat, she'd go crazy. Even if it was nothing, it wouldn't be good to knock over a jar of vinegar. Director Gao had an idea and made Buyuan the scapegoat. His words worked well. Sitting in the back seat, Qin Yuning found it inconvenient to talk to Gao Ran. After the car started, she didn't have time to find a topic. Gao Ran turned on the music and played a heavy metal song, making the car noisy. He couldn't hear anything Qin Yuning said. Seeing this, Qin Yuning didn't know what to say. She sat in the back and browsed her WeChat moments and played with her cell phone. When they arrived at the kindergarten, Buyuan was escorted out by the teacher. However, there was another child beside him. It was none other than Little Bean. "Oh, why is my daughter-in-law here?" Gao Ran was amused. "I'm bringing her home for dinner." "What's wrong? Dad, you don't welcome her?" Buyuan had a self-righteous look on his face. He thought to himself, "It's all because I want to fight against your mistress. That's why I shamelessly promised Little Bean 3 black swan cakes and 10 bowls of Haagen-Dazs in exchange for this opportunity." "Hello, Uncle Gao," Little Bean said politely. "Let's go, daughter-in-law. Let's go to Uncle's house to eat something good." "But, where's your sister?" "Dad, what are you thinking? Pudding isn't mine. Why would I want her?" Buyuan rolled his eyes. "No, I just want to invite Pudding over for a meal. Nothing else. My sister is busy tonight," Little Bean explained. "Alright, then you two quickly get in the car. It's cold outside." She saw the 2 children. Qin Yuning was overjoyed. "Wow, this must be your son. Director Gao, he's so handsome. He looks just like you." Qin Yuning looked at Gao Buyuan and praised him. "Auntie, you have bad eyesight. I look more like my mom. They say that sons look like their mothers. Do you know that?" Gao Buyuan gave Qin Yuning a warning. Chapter 38:18. Instantly, Qin Yuning felt embarrassed. Was she scolded by a little boy? However, the most exciting part was yet to come. Before she could react, Qin Mo had already finished speaking. Immediately, Little Bean pinched Buyuan. "Buyuan, how can you talk to Auntie so rudely?" Buyuan looked at Little Bean in bewilderment. "She's young, but her eyesight has deteriorated. Poor her. We should sympathize with her. My mommy said we should help the handicapped." Buyuan, ha. Qin Yuning. Gao Ran looked embarrassed. Ahem. Little Qin, don't mind her. My daughter-in-law likes to joke. He's just a little joker. Qin Yuning said with a smile. "Chief Gao, I don't mind." At this moment she had to show her tolerance and continue to pretend to be a noble and pure lotus. But when the 4 of them walked to the car, another problem arose. The 2 kids couldn't sit in the front passenger seat, could they? Seizing the opportunity, Qin Yuning said, "Chief Gao, I think they should sit in the back. It's too crowded in the front." Gao Ran also realized the problem because he didn't expect Little Bean to come with them. While he was hesitating, Little Bean said innocently, "Buyuan, you sit in the front passenger seat. I want to sit in the back with this pretty auntie. I like pretty auntie the most. You two sit in the back." Gao Buyuan wanted to give Little Bean a thumbs up. Why was she so amazing? Who said Little Bean couldn't fight alone without Pudding? She was so good at fighting. "Oh, I see." Obviously, Qin Yuning was reluctant. "Auntie, you don't dislike me, do you? Or, do you just want to be closer to my Uncle Gao?" Little Bean's words were fatal. Qin Yuning blushed. "I don't. Why would I? Kid, you're overthinking. Come on. I'll hold you in the back." Unwillingly, Qin Yuning sat in the back row with Little Bean. The back seat of the Land Rover was spacious enough for Little Bean to move around freely. "Buyuan, do you want some milk?" Little Bean opened her school bag. Inside was the food her grandma had brought for her when she left home this morning. Although Huamin strictly forbade it, the biased grandmother would still secretly put some delicious food in her 2 granddaughters' school bags. Pudding, on the other hand, didn't seem to matter. Thinking that she was going to Buyuan's house today, she didn't eat all the food and left some for Buyuan. Sure. Buyuan seemed to be very interested in whatever Little Bean said. The 2 kids played very well. "Chief Gao, is she Dr. Hua and President Qin's daughter?" After falling in love with Gao Ran, Qin Yuning had done her homework and knew about Gao Ran's circle of friends. Only the little princess of the Qin family could play so well with the children of the Gao family. "Well, yes." Gao Ran answered her while driving. "So, is she the elder sister or the younger sister?" Qin Yuning tried to find a topic. "Auntie, you can ask me if you want to know." "Uncle Gao is driving. It's dangerous to distract him like this. You don't value your own life." Qin Yuning, "Yeah. Auntie Little Qin, don't talk to my dad. Tell him to focus on driving, Gao Buyuan agreed with Little Bean. I got it. Qin Yuning was displeased, but she had to pretend to be happy. Little Bean took out 2 bottles of yogurt. They were the kind that could be drunk directly without a straw. She handed one to Buyuan and opened the other for herself, taking a big gulp. At this moment, Gao Ran's car made a sharp turn. The most exciting moment came. Little Bean spat out the big mouthful of yogurt on the floral dress Qin Yuning had carefully prepared for her. Even the black leather jacket was sprayed all over by her. The scene was quite spectacular. Chapter 38:19. Qin Yuning looked at the yogurt that Little Bean spat out. Instantly her face turned pale. She swore that if Gao Ran wasn't here she would teach this kid a lesson. Andy, I'm sorry. I got carsick. Uncle Gao made a sharp turn and I didn't jump. Little Bean looked at Qin Yuning innocently and pitifully. She was so good at acting thanks to her sister. Little Bean had once asked Pudding when she was bored at home. Sister, what's the best way to treat a hypocrite? You're more hypocrite than her. Give her a taste of her own medicine, Pudding concluded. Little Bean, who was fighting alone today, vividly embodied her sister's advice. Qin Yuning was about to explode, but she still pretended to be gentle. It's okay. I won't blame you. You didn't do it on purpose. Qin Yuning immediately took out a wet wipe from her purse and wiped the yogurt off her clothes. God knew how expensive her clothes were. She had saved several months' salary to buy it, but the kids spat it all over her clothes. Little Bean, you're too careless. Fortunately, Auntie Qin is generous and won't blame you. You must be careful. Buyuan was laughing in his heart, but he had to say those words to appease Little Bean. Gao Ran almost laughed out loud, thinking that Little Bean was indeed the daughter of Huamin and Qin Chu. No one could be as smart as her. It was difficult for Qin Yuning to deal with Little Bean. Little Bean was lucky that Pudding didn't come. Otherwise, Qin Yuning had thought that Gao Ran would pick up the kid and drive her home, and they would look for a place to eat. But when the car stopped in front of Gao Ran's building, she was hesitant. She was a little hesitant. Chief Gao, we're eating. My Lingling has prepared dinner and is waiting for us. In your home? Qin Yuning was dumbfounded. Yeah, I rarely eat outside anymore. I'm sick of it. The food at home is still the best. When she heard that I was going to treat you to a meal, my wife was very enthusiastic. After hearing about your heroic deeds, she kept asking me to take you to see her. It's a rare opportunity. She heard that you were coming over, so she came back early to prepare. Then, will it be too much trouble for your wife? Different from other colleagues, Qin Yuning refused to call Zhu Lingling's sister-in-law. Instead she called her your wife. That won't happen. My Lingling couldn't ask for more. Qin Yuning braced herself and followed Gao Ran upstairs. She had been thinking about one thing the entire way. Was this dinner at Gao Ran's house unintentional, or did he prepare this meal on purpose? Could it be that he knew what she was thinking and wanted to put her in her place? A united front with his wife? The more Qin Yuning thought about it, the more agitated she felt. She became uneasy. He hated Zhu Lingling and the sight of this woman. So, the moment she stepped into the Gao family's house, she put on a hypocritical mask and began to act. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was coming to your house, so I didn't bring any gifts, Qin Yuning said to Zhu Lingling with a smile. Oh, don't be so polite. I won't be picky. After all, it's not easy for a police officer like you. You don't even have enough money to spend in a month. You can't buy caterpillars and birds' nests like me, can you? Zhu Lingling smiled with a dagger in her eyes. Auntie Lingling. Little Bean dashed over and threw herself into Zhu Lingling's arms. Oh, daughter-in-law, why are you here? Ignoring Qin Yuning, Zhu Lingling picked up Little Bean. Let's go, Little Qin. Let's eat. Gao Ran put a new pair of slippers on the floor. After changing, Qin Yuning walked to the dining room with Gao Ran. She glanced at the dining room and her expression changed even more. Sister Lingling, you ordered takeout, right? Qin Yuning's smile was sarcastic. The table was filled with food boxes with the restaurant's logo. She knew it was takeout at first glance. But was it a good idea to treat someone to a meal and order takeout? Chapter 38:20. Yeah. They all say the takeout food here is delicious. Let's try it, Zhu Lingling answered with a smile. Director Gao said we'd eat at home. I thought, you cooked it yourself. Qin Yuning continued to hold the food in her hands, smiling without showing her teeth. That's because old Gao didn't tell you that my cooking is super bad. It's comparable to a dark chef, so how can I embarrass myself by serving a guest? After all, you've made a great contribution to the city bureau this time. You're flattering me, Sister Lingling. I just happened to be there. They chatted for a while and then sat down to eat. To be honest, Qin Yuning had no appetite at all. She had thought it was a dinner with Gao Ran alone, but now it was ruined. Looking at the food on the table, Qin Yuning had no appetite at all. But for the sake of Director Gao, she pretended to pick up the chopsticks and nibble. Auntie Qin, hurry up and eat, Buyuan said modestly. Okay, little Qin, don't be shy. There's a lot of food. Eat more, Zhu Lingling said with a chuckle. Sister Lingling, the oil used in takeout isn't good. You'd better not order takeout from now on. I'm an adult and it's okay for me to eat it, but Buyuan is still young. It's not good for children to eat it. As a mother, you have to think about your children, right? Qin Yuning was complaining about Zhu Lingling, and she said it on purpose for Gao Ran to hear. She meant that his wife didn't know how to take care of children. To his surprise, Zhu Lingling was prepared to deal with this little vixen. After hearing his words, Zhu Lingling immediately replied, Little Qin, don't worry. I ordered takeout because you're a guest. Usually when there aren't any guests at home, I cook for them personally. Although it's terrible, they're used to it and don't mind. Now Qin Yuning realized that they usually cooked by themselves. So she ordered takeout because she was here. What kind of people were they? At this moment, Little Bean sat down beside Qin Yuning. Auntie, I'll sit beside you. You're pretty and I like you. Don't you want to play with Buyuan? Why don't you sit next to him? Qin Yuning learned her lesson and didn't want to have anything to do with this little girl. But how could Little Bean give her a chance? It's okay with Buyuan. I see him often, but I don't see you often. So I have to cherish this rare opportunity. When she said the word opportunity, Little Bean smiled faintly. Why did Qin Yuning feel that this kid was full of tricks? Sure enough, a bottle of seafood soy sauce appeared in Little Bean's hand. Caught off guard, he poured the soy sauce into Qin Yuning's bowl. Qin Yuning, Auntie, let me tell you a particularly delicious way to eat it. Rice with soy sauce, it's really super delicious. Qin Yuning, Auntie, I'm a witness. I've eaten it before. It's delicious. Try it, Gao Buyuan added. Auntie doesn't like soy sauce actually. This soy sauce is different from the usual one. Try it quickly. As she spoke, she lifted the bowl to Qin Yuning's lips. Embarrassed, Qin Yuning glanced at Gao Buyuan, who was sitting across from her. My daughter-in-law doesn't lie. Maybe it's really delicious. Try it. Little Qin, don't be shy in my house. Gao Buyuan was on Little Bean's side. Then Qin Yuning was completely confused. Finally, under everyone's gaze, she took a mouthful of rice soaked in soy sauce and her stomach churned. You're a student of a famous university, you're good-looking and have a good job. Instead of being a good person, you want to seduce someone else's husband. Don't you feel ashamed? Your parents work hard to run the rice noodle shop and support your education. Do you think it's easy? They're old now, but you're slandering them. Sister Lingling, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. You don't have any evidence. How can you frame me? Frame you? Hee. You know it yourself. Qin Yuning, I'm telling you. Don't try to seduce my old Gao again, or I'll make you die a horrible death. Sister Lingling, you know what? Everyone covets the good stuff. Besides, even if I'm not here, there might be others. You don't have to be so nervous. You look ugly when you swear like a shrew. I don't understand why a nice man like Chief Gao can't stand sharing a bed with you. Qin Yuning scolded Zhu Lingling without using any dirty words, but her words were like knives stabbing into Zhu Lingling's heart. Chapter 38-22. Zhu Lingling was surprised to see Qin Yuning's true colors so soon. Hu Min was a good judge of character. Qin Yuning was a two-faced bitch. She couldn't hold it in anymore. What was she talking about? Listen to her. She was mocking Zhu Lingling for not being good enough for Gao Ran. I'll tell you the truth. Zhu Lingling, no matter how bad she is Gao Ran's legal wife and the woman he loves deeply. But you, no matter how excellent you are, you're just a vixen who covets another woman's husband, a shameless mistress. Oh no, the current situation is that Gao Ran doesn't care about you at all. He is a clown. You didn't learn to be good at such a young age and are so scheming. Aren't you afraid of retribution? I feel sorry for your parents. If my daughter were like her, I'd strangle her to death. She's a waste of air. After all, you're not even a mistress. Tell me, what are you? Not to be outdone, Zhu Lingling retorted with a long string of insults. Qin Yuning's face turned darker and darker. Let's wait and see. Keep an eye on your husband. Don't let him sleep in my bed one day. Don't worry. My husband has no choice. He won't sleep with you even if he has to sleep with a blow-up doll. After all, you're disgusting, but a blow-up doll isn't. Qin Yuning. In the end, she wasn't in the mood to argue with Zhu Lingling anymore. She turned and left. Obviously, she was infuriated by Zhu Lingling. On her way back, Zhu Lingling walked briskly and was in a good mood. It was the first time she had won such a glorious victory. It was a heavy blow to that shameless vixen. She took out her cell phone and sent a voice message to Huamin. Mian, I won. Pa, I won the first battle. Congratulations, but you have to be careful. That woman is not to be trifled with. Don't worry, I'll be on high alert. Oh right, I also have to thank my daughter-in-law. She's too awesome. What did my little bean do this time? Huamin had a bad feeling about this. No. My daughter-in-law performed very well. Thank you for giving birth to a good daughter-in-law for me. Huamin, all right, let's not talk about it anymore. Let's go back and eat. By the time Zhu Lingling came back, all the food on the table had been removed. On the table were the ingredients that Zhu Lingling had prepared earlier. It was hot pot with fresh beef and mutton, as well as a lot of vegetables, vermicelli and sweet potatoes. Mom, these takeaways cost a lot. It's a pity to throw them away. Why don't we give them to the homeless uncle at the ATM in front of our neighborhood? This was Gao Buyuan's suggestion. Son, you're so generous. Gao Ran was surprised by Buyuan's behavior. My mom said that as long as we're alive, we should do our best to take care of ourselves. Then if we can, we should help others. Honey, I didn't know you had such a gentle side. Gao Ran teased Zhu Lingling. Don't talk nonsense. Let's eat the hot pot. Now that the enemy is gone, we can eat in peace. Daughter-in-law, come here and let your mother-in-law give you a kiss. Zhu Lingling picked up Little Bean and gave him a quick peck on the cheek. Aunt Lingling, I had prepared a lot of tactics, but this piece of trash was too weak. She ran away after a few moves. Little Bean was very pleased with herself. It's okay. If my dad has a mistress in the future, I'll ask you to help me deal with it. Hearing Buyuan's words, Gao Ran almost burst into tears. I heard that his father was hospitalized for a kidney transplant and his family spent a lot of money on it. Coincidentally, 1 week before Qin Yuning did what she did, the suspect had 50,000 yuan in his bank account. 50,000 yuan? Qin Chu frowned at the amount. 50,000 yuan isn't a lot, but it's a lot for Qin Yuning. He might have saved it for years. But she's smart and didn't transfer it to the suspect directly. After all, she graduated from the Public Security University and is good at anti-reconnaissance. I found that she withdrew 50,000 yuan from an industrial bank 1 week ago and went to a game parlor near her home. She played slot machines with the 50,000 yuan and lost the game. Qin Chu immediately guessed what was going on and continued, could it be that the suspected gangster owns the arcade? Chapter 38-24. He didn't open it, but he had something to do with it. The hooligan has a girlfriend who's also a delinquent. The arcade belongs to that woman, so I think Qin Yuning took the opportunity to lose the money and gave it to that person indirectly. That's a great loss. For 50,000 yuan he became a suspect and will go to jail for several years. Is it worth it? I found it strange at first. Later, I investigated both openly and secretly and found that the hooligan has had a crush on Qin Yuning since elementary school. For many years. Hearing Huamin's words, Qin Chu finally understood. That makes sense. But in this case, this woman is very cunning. Qin Chu suddenly felt it wasn't a simple matter. I'm shocked too. She's young, but she's so scheming. I'll talk to old Gao and ask him to send her away as soon as possible. Mr. Qin was arrogant, but he never underestimated his enemies. After Huamin told him the result of the investigation, He vaguely felt it wasn't a good thing to let such a woman work for Gao Ran. Huamin also knew Gao Ran always listened to Qin Chu. They chatted for a while longer. Feeling sleepy, Huamin got up and went back to his bedroom. Half an hour later, Qin Chu finished the last few files in his hand. On his way back to his bedroom from the study, he passed by Pudding's room and found it was lit up. Qin Chu checked his watch and found it was 10:30 p.m., but Pudding was still awake. Frowning, he stopped and knocked on the door. "Come in, Daddy." Wearing a cotton nightgown, Pudding sat in a chair with her long hair down. On the desk was a laptop. "Baby, why aren't you asleep?" In fact, Qin Chu sometimes cared about his eldest daughter very much. It was said that the crybaby got the milk. Since Little Bean liked to act coquettishly and play tricks, her family paid special attention to her. Pudding, on the other hand, was sensible, calm, quiet, and easily neglected by her family. If you looked closely, you would find that Pudding's personality was more like Qin Chu's. After all, Huamin had a playful, cute, and witty side to her. But this child in the crowd was always the most low-key, coldest, and most arrogant one. It was as if the whole world had to accompany her in her loneliness. "I'm still working on some things." Qin Chu glanced at the contents of the notebook and was slightly surprised. "You know these things?" "Auntie taught me a little," Pudding answered honestly. "Baby, you're still young. It's not safe to be exposed to hackers too early." "Daddy, don't worry. What I'm playing now is just child's play." "I saw that you've been selling the shares of the subsidiary company recently, and then a few companies have started to buy them. Do you know the background of those companies?" Qin Chu usually didn't ask about his daughter's business, but if he found that she was in danger, he would definitely step forward to protect her. "I've checked. It's Hui Yanyan's doing." The legal representatives of those companies are more or less related to Hui Yanyan. Pudding's eyes were calm when she said this, as if everything was under control. "You even found out about this. My daughter is amazing." Qin Chu reached out his hand dotingly and patted Pudding's head. "Daddy, please believe me. Since I've chosen this path, I'll work hard and protect myself." This sentence was like a daughter's promise to her father. Qin Chu was slightly moved and then nodded. "I believe you. I believe that my daughter is the best. Fortunately, Little Bean isn't home today. Otherwise she would be jealous. Daddy is rarely so good to me." Pudding smiled. Chapter 38:25. Hearing this, Qin Chu felt a dull pain in his heart. It seemed even Pudding thought her family liked Little Bean more. "Pudding, Daddy and Mommy love you and your sister equally. It's okay. Daddy and Mommy can treat Little Bean better. After all, she's younger than me." There was no jealousy in Pudding's eyes. She seemed to have accepted the fact calmly. She didn't complain about why her parents didn't love her more. "Pudding, Daddy, I understand. You don't have to explain. I'm the older sister and I'll take good care of Little Bean and Little Bean. I don't think you and Mommy don't love me anymore. In fact, I'm just trying to become better and help you and Mommy share the burden of the family. So, I'm one of the most important members of the family." "That's right." Qin Chu nodded, feeling an indescribable feeling in his heart. "Daddy, you don't have to interfere with the stock market. I can handle it myself. That woman bullies me and wants to take revenge on you and Mommy. But I won't give her the chance." Pudding's logical mind was very active. After seeing through the enemy's trick, she began to set a trap for them. Qin Chu believed his daughter's intelligence wasn't wasted and wasn't worried that Hui Yanyan would play tricks on the stock market. Daddy only said one thing. "Go to bed early and don't stay up late." "Don't worry, Daddy. I'll take care of it in 10 minutes. Good night, baby." "Good night, Daddy." This time Pudding kissed Qin Chu lightly on the cheek. Words couldn't express the shock his daughter brought to him. But whether it was the smart Pudding or the adorable Little Bean, they were both his loved ones. He, Qin Chu, would always be proud of them. After Shin Mingxi went to Singapore, Wei Ying didn't hear from him for a week. She didn't call him or contact him on WeChat. But she vaguely heard from her good friend in Singapore that Shin Mingxi was still there, dealing with this difficult issue. 3 days later, Wei Ying was trying on high heels in a luxury store when her cell phone rang. Ing. Hearing this voice, Wei Ying had mixed feelings. The long-lost familiarity made her want to cry. But she had to hold back her tears. "Brother Mingxi." "Xiaoying, I'm back. Do you have time to meet me?" "No." Wei Ying was surprised. "Yes, right now." I just got off the plane. I really want to see you. Hey, let's pick a place. Wei Ying wanted to pick a coffee shop or something. However, Shin Mingxi said, where are you now? I'll go and find you. I'm at the DR Famous Museum. Wei Ying looked at the shop sign and gave him the address in a daze. 30 minutes later, black Bentley Continental was parked in front of the shop. Shin Mingxi got out of the car and walked in. He was wearing a light blue windbreaker, but the stubble on his face made him look like he had been through a lot. His days in Singapore must have been mentally and physically drained. Just from his good friend's words, he knew how much of a headache this matter was. Brother Mingxi. Wei Ying had picked out a few pairs of shoes and sat on the sofa, drinking black tea as she waited. Shin Mingxi didn't speak to Wei Ying immediately. Instead, he turned his head and spoke to the saleswoman. Please wrap up all the shoes my friend picked out for me. I'll pay for them with my card. Sir. The saleswoman had seen many people trying to please their girlfriends and was familiar with the routine. Wei Ying was surprised and a bit flustered. She immediately stood up and stared at Shin Mingxi, who had just returned from a long journey. Brother Mingxi, what are you doing? Chapter 38:26. Didn't you say you were going to beg for forgiveness? Then Shin Mingxi walked to the cashier and paid 120,000 yuan for 4 pairs of shoes for Wei Ying under the envious gazes of the female saleswomen. Then he picked up a new pair of shoes and walked back to Wei Ying. Sit down. Sit down. Shin Mingxi put his hand on Wei Ying's shoulder and asked her to sit down. Then, while she was still in a daze, he knelt down on one knee, took out the new pair of shoes and carefully picked up Wei Ying's feet. He was helping her put on the shoes. Yes, Shin Mingxi was helping Wei Ying put on her shoes. This was the most explosive news in the city. After all, a few years ago when they had just gotten married, Wei Ying and Wei Ying didn't like each other. Everyone wondered if Shin Mingxi didn't like Wei Ying. Why did Shin Mingxi look so cold and unhappy at the wedding? But it had only been a few years. How come Shin Mingxi knelt down on one knee and helped Wei Ying put on her shoes? Wei Ying was also dumbfounded. Was happiness coming too suddenly? The shoes are beautiful. You have good taste. This pair suits you very well. Stand up and walk around. Shin Mingxi's every word was so gentle that Wei Ying almost thought she was dreaming. The paparazzi happened to take pictures of the scene just now. Half an hour later, the news on all the major websites was, heir of the Shin family suspected of rekindling old relationship with ex-girlfriend. Then, their Weibo exploded and dominated the trending topics for 5 hours. The top 3 trending topics were Wei Ying, Shin Mingxi and Wei Ying suspected of getting back together. Obviously, there were many gossipy netizens except for their fans. Some passers-by's opinions were interesting. A gossip magazine purposely cut out a few comments and put them on the news with thought-provoking meanings. Passerby, whoa, they really got back together? When they first got married, I thought that they were a golden couple. They were truly well-matched in terms of social status and were childhood sweethearts. How could a flirtatious slut like Hui Yanyan compare to them? Passerby B, hee hee. A man who cheats on you is like a piece of R&B stained with shit. It's a pity to throw it away, but it's disgusting to keep it. I didn't expect Wei Ying to be such an unprincipled person. If I were her, I wouldn't forgive her. With her family background, it's only a matter of time before she finds a handsome male model. Passerby C. Didn't you say that the Shin family was short on funds a while ago? I heard that the young master of the Shin family had been borrowing money from everywhere. How did he manage to solve it so quickly? Could it be that he had spoken to the Wei family? What a scheming man. Miss Wei had better keep her eyes open. Passerby D. At this moment the shadow in Wei Liao's heart. After leaving the shoe store, Shin Mingxi and Wei Ying went to the tea house next door. The two of them did not care about the rumors and gossip outside. Ying, I want to apologize to you. I stood you up that day and made you sad. Shin Mingxi came to apologize sincerely. After getting off the plane, he didn't go home or to the company. He came to see Wei Ying immediately because he felt that it was important to apologize to her. It's okay. You had your reasons. I understand. Wei Ying was not happy, but when she saw Shin Mingxi in person, her heart softened. Besides, she knew that he did have something to say. Tiantian's incident was terrible. I stayed there for 12 days. When Shin Mingxi said this, it was obvious that he was exhausted. What happened? What happened? How did they punish her? Wei Ying was very concerned about the progress of the case. She had heard from her friend that if the Singaporean court found her guilty, Tian Tian would not only be expelled from school, but also be blacklisted from Singapore and banned from entering the country forever. After all, at such a young age she had viciously hurt other people. It was terrible. Chapter 38-27. Fortunately, everything was resolved. The guardian of the injured child withdrew the lawsuit and accepted a private settlement. How much did you pay? 1 million yuan, Shin Mingxi said guiltily. Singapore dollars? Wei Ying guessed. Shin Mingxi nodded. Singapore dollars were very different from Chinese yuan. The exchange rate was 1 to 5. That was to say 1 million Singapore dollars was equivalent to 5 million Chinese yuan. 5 million yuan. An ordinary family might not be able to earn that much in their lifetime. Shin Mingxi had to pay this sum of money just because Tian Tian had hurt someone at school. 5 million yuan was a drop in the ocean for the Shin family, and it wasn't a huge sum for Wei Ying. But for such a young child to cause so much trouble overseas, was it really acceptable? Tian Tian, what are you going to do now? Wei Liao asked in a low voice as he picked up his teacup. I can't go back to school. Singapore has made it clear that they want to expel her. They listed her as a dangerous person. Wei Ying, so? Wei Ying seemed to have an answer in her heart. I brought her back. Where is she? I had the driver send her back. She hasn't been in a good mood lately. After being detained by the police for a few days, she's traumatized. I've been thinking of finding a good psychologist to examine her. I don't want to leave any bad memories in her heart and affect her life in the future. Wei Ying was silent after hearing this. She seemed to understand Shin Mingxi's intention. Big brother Mingxi, you want my sister-in-law to help you, right? Wei Ying's sister-in-law, Dr. Jiang Xiaowei, was one of the top psychologists in the industry and even in the country. Now, she was not only a psychologist hired by the Municipal Public Security Bureau, but also opened her own high-end psychiatric clinic. The fee was very expensive. It was 1,000 yuan per minute. That was to say it would cost 60,000 yuan per hour and 60 minutes. Shin Mingxi didn't lack money, but he was afraid that Jiang Xiaowei would refuse if he went to the clinic. After all, Jiang Xiaowei didn't like him, let alone Hui Yinyan's daughter. But if Wei Ying put in a few good words, I do have this idea. I want you to help me ask Dr. Jiang if he's willing to do it. I won't reduce the remuneration, Shin Mingxi emphasized. My sister-in-law doesn't need that little bit of money. She opened the clinic just for fun. Wei Ying chuckled. Her smile was thought-provoking. Xiao Ying, if you feel uncomfortable in your heart, then forget it. I apologize to you because I failed to keep my promise. It has nothing to do with this matter. Don't think too much. Shin Mingxi regretted it after he said it. Wei Ying was always overthinking things. If she thought that his eagerness to pay the bill and apologize was to curry favor with her so that she could recommend Professor Jiang, then it would be a big misunderstanding. Fortunately, Wei Ying was no longer the old Wei Ying. She was already very reasonable. I won't think that way. Don't worry. Thank you in advance. No need. After all, I don't know if my sister-in-law will agree. You know that my second brother has never liked you. I know. Yes, so I can only tell my sister-in-law in private and give it a try. I'm already very grateful that you're willing to help me. Wei Ying and Shin Mingxi chatted in the tea house. When they came out, Huamin's assistant Qin Jie happened to see them. When Qin Jie returned to the hospital in the afternoon, she told Huamin about what had happened. Sister Mion, what's wrong with the daughter of the Wei family? Has she forgotten the pain after the wound healed? How can she still be entangled with young Master Shin? Qin Jie was usually quiet, but she had a very high moral standing and didn't like women like Wei Ying who wanted to go back to the same old man. Huamin smiled and didn't say anything. At this moment the office phone rang. Vice Director Hua, President Wu is here for an emergency meeting. Please go upstairs. Chapter 38-28. Receiving an internal call, Huamin stood up, put on his white coat and walked out, ignoring the gossip about Shin Mingxi and Wei Ying. Huamin thought President Wu was here to hand over some work. Or maybe something important happened at the hospital. In fact, he did have something important to announce. When Huamin walked into the conference room, All the senior executives of the hospital were there. She didn't know about this. Su Yu's mother, a board member of the foundation, was also here. It meant the situation was serious. The vice director is here, someone said, and Huamin walked toward his seat. President Wu's face was dark. He didn't smile and didn't look up at Huamin when he walked in. Huamin felt it was strange. Since everyone is here, let's be quiet. I have something to announce. Hearing President Wu's words, everyone stopped whispering. Huamin and Su Yu's mother looked at each other. Obviously, Su Yu's mother didn't know what President Wu was going to say. President Wu was a straightforward man with a stubborn temper, but he was very principled. Over the years he had built up the reputation of the first hospital in Southside. He doted on Huamin from the bottom of his heart, like a senior to a junior or a master to his disciple. In the past, no matter what happened, she would call Huamin in advance to discuss it with him. It was rare for her to be called to the conference room directly. Let's talk about the first thing first. From now on, I'm no longer the director of Southside and the first hospital. Hearing President Wu's words, the room was in an uproar. Director, didn't you apply for retirement? You only have a few months left. Why are you in such a hurry? Yeah. Director, are you in a hurry to leave the country? Has your visa been issued? Director, we don't want you to leave. Some older doctors couldn't hold it in anymore and began to talk. Everyone quiet down. I'm going to talk about the second thing. Then President Wu glanced at Huamin with a complicated look in his eyes. Huamin suddenly felt it wasn't about his promotion. As expected, the second thing is that Comrade Huamin is no longer the vice director of Southside. At the same time, she will be relieved of all her duties at Southside. Huamin's reaction was calm. Everything seemed to be within reason, but it was also unexpected. This sentence was like a sudden clap of thunder, and the reaction was even more intense than the previous sentence. Huamin had won the hearts of everyone at Southside, even though she wasn't loved by everyone. But she had always been respected and admired. And admired her. Now that she was suddenly relieved of all her duties, did that mean she was fired? President Wu, what's going on? Su Yu's mother was the first to lose her composure. Huamin had been like her own daughter for the past few years. She couldn't watch her daughter get bullied like this. Yeah, President Wu, what did Vice Director Hu do? Why was she suddenly fired? Is there a mistake? I'm sorry, this is a decision made by the higher-ups. I have no right to interfere. Let me put it this way. Today Huamin and I have been fired by the higher-ups. A new director will take over in a few days. Please cooperate with the new director. Thank you for your cooperation with Huamin and I. Thank you for all the support you've given to the hospital. President Wu seemed to be a little emotional. He stood up and bowed to everyone before turning to leave. Huamin immediately stood up and followed him out. The rest of the people panicked. They didn't understand what was going on. Chapter 38-29. President Wu. Mion, don't ask anything. You're smart, you should understand. In short, it's worth sacrificing the two of us to protect the hospital. President Wu was in a bad mood. He tried his best to suppress his emotions and not cry. After he finished speaking, he turned around and walked away. Huamian looked at Director Wu's white hair and hunched back up close, and she didn't feel good about it. This old man had worked at the first hospital since he graduated from medical university. He had worked his way up and dedicated all his precious youth to the hospital. He had worked for more than 40 years. He was only a few months away from retiring. But now he had to end all of this in such a humiliating way, in the way of being fired. Huamin was very sad, even sadder than being fired. Because she didn't want to work anymore. She wanted to focus on giving birth to her second child. However, President Wu was already so old and a hero of the hospital was being treated like this. Wasn't it too? As for the reason, she didn't need to ask. It must have something to do with Zheng Rou's disappearance. Zheng Rou had been missing for more than a week. She didn't receive any blackmail calls. What did that mean? Perhaps the person who captured Zheng Rou wasn't after money. In other words, it was a mystery whether Zheng Rou was still alive or not. As a father, it was inevitable that Secretary Zheng would worry about his daughter. Therefore, this father vented his anger on Southside Hospital. Because Zheng Rou went missing here. And President Wu didn't know what kind of negotiation he had with Secretary Zheng. In the end, he and Huamin resigned in exchange for the safety of Southside Hospital. Only the two of them knew the real story. Huamin returned to the office in disappointment. She looked at the familiar desk, computer, teacup and sofa. She actually felt a little reluctant, although she kept saying that she wanted to resign and was tired. But when she was about to get a divorce, she suddenly felt so sad. Huamin sent Chinchu a WeChat message. Honey. Here, honey. I'm fired. Good. Huamin, then you don't have to be the director of Southside anymore. You can be my wife and Pudding and Little Bean's mother. I are gloating. Huamin knew that her husband was afraid that she would be sad, so he deliberately teased her. Hubby, I'm fired. Really? I'm unemployed from today onwards. You have to remember to take care of me. President Hua, stop messing around. Now, other than the company's working capital, the rest of the money is in your Swiss bank account. You should be the one supporting our family. Chinchu always gave Huamin an inexplicable sense of security. Honey, this is really sudden. You should be able to guess that Honey, let's talk when we get home tonight. Chinchu was still worried that someone would eavesdrop on his voice calls outside of his home. All right. Chapter 38:30. Look at how agitated you are. It's as if you've been fired. Lady Su knew that Su Yu would be very agitated after hearing the news. Why? Our Dr. Hua is so outstanding. Why should he be fired? Su Yu asked twice in one breath. It was obvious that he was filled with anger. I don't know the details, but judging from Mion's expression, she should know what happened. I'll call old Wu now and ask. The old Wu that Su Yu mentioned was none other than President Wu himself. Don't call him. President Wu was also fired. Although on the surface he resigned, everyone knows that he will officially retire in a few months. Why bother? So I can only say that something happened. President Wu and Mion were both fired. Fuck, Su Yu cursed in anger. Mion probably won't be in a good mood these days. You friends should gather more often and comfort her. Lady Su thought about it and asked the people around her to comfort Huamin. I got it, Mom. Su Yu's face had been full of worry ever since he heard the news. He didn't care about anything else. He only knew that Huamin liked being a doctor and had feelings for Southside. Otherwise, with Chinchu's current wealth, Huamin wouldn't be able to squander it all in his lifetime. He wouldn't become a director for a mere £1,000,000 annual salary. Most importantly, the workload was huge and he had to worry about it. It was a thankless effort. When Lady Su left Imperial Star, she bumped into Han Yueyao in the lobby. When she was dancing, the soles of her feet were a little scratched, so she went to the pharmacy to buy a band-aid. Unexpectedly, she bumped into Su Yu's mother. Han Yueyao felt guilty in front of Su Yu's mother. So she only greeted her in a low voice, Auntie Sug. Okay, Su Yu's mother responded with a smile, nodded and then left with the bodyguard and driver. Han Yueyao knew a smart woman like Mrs. Su wouldn't show her dissatisfaction or pester her repeatedly even if she was unhappy with her. When Han Yueyao went back, other than her dance teacher, her temporary manager was with her. She was sent here by Su Yu. Her surname was Yu, so Han Yueyao called her sister Yu. Yao Yao, come here. The agent waved his hand. Your dance practice is okay. Your dance teacher and I are very satisfied. We are very confident that you won't be eliminated in the first round. As far as I know this time, other than the female star with the surname Y who has some dancing skills, the others are all laymen. We don't have to be too nervous. The only thing I'm worried about now is your popularity. Sister Yu, I've never debuted, I'm not popular. Han Yueyao chuckled. Yeah. That's why you're at a disadvantage. Look at Gao Yaro's popularity. That woman is very good at making herself popular. She's using all kinds of methods to create hype. She likes to do it, so be it. I'll pass. Sister Yu, even if you ask me to do a live stream like Gao Yaro, I don't think many people will watch it. It'll be even more embarrassing, huh? Han Yueyao knew her own limits and didn't want to compare herself with Gao Yaro. I didn't ask you to do a live stream. What I mean is, you should find a topic to talk about before the reality show starts, okay? For example, Han Yueyao didn't know what topic Sister Yu was talking about. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.